Tucker Carlson had a really good episode a few days ago, and he had on Jeffrey Sachs. Now, I'm not super familiar with Jeffrey Sachs. However, for this portion of the video, I really just want to focus on the first 30 minutes or so of that interview because Tucker made a lot of really good comments and a lot of really good points. And so I really just want to focus on that because he really just talked for 30 minutes straight, and it was really impressive and really kind of just captivating to hear him speak like that and be so captivated by what he was saying for 30 minutes straight, because non-stop talking, making a lot of really good points, and then also capturing attention for the full 30 minutes, I thought was super impressive. And it actually reminded me of Nick Fuentes when he got into the feud with Candace and Tucker, and he went on and basically did an expose of Tucker Carlson in 2 videos, and I think it was the first video that was really good, and it was where he was like something and you are not, and it was and you are not, and I can't imitate him, but whatever. And anyway, that was a really good moment of him speaking and delivering his points so well and doing it in a way where people are just like shocked by how well he delivered it. And then I know that people do this generally, but they even did a animation of the whole feud and his speech and all of that stuff, and so it was really good. And so Tucker speaking in the first 30 minutes of this interview really caught my attention. I listened to what he said word for word, and I really thought that he made a lot of good points, and so we're going to talk about those. So I really like that he said that there are 3 things that make America America. It's justice under the law, voting rights, and freedom of speech. And I saw a tweet where basically it was someone saying, you know, we are the last place for freedom, democracy, that sort of thing. If we get in trouble, there's no one coming to help us. We are the last line. And so that really made an impression on me, because if we get in trouble, there's nobody else that we can turn to. It's us who has to take care of ourselves, defend ourselves, and all of that stuff, right? And so it really just speaks to the stakes for America in terms of this battle for good versus evil. I know that a lot of people want to frame this as everybody hating Jews, everybody hating Israel, but really it's everyone taking a stand against the government of Israel and what they are doing in Gaza. So it was really big of Tucker to come out and say, hey, you know, we can blame the government of Israel, Netanyahu, but we also have to take a look at the American politicians who have allowed this to happen year after year and decade after decade. It's up to the people that we put into positions of power to hold the line and basically say, hey, you know, we're not going for this is not going to happen, that sort of thing. And he really talked about how this is affecting Trump, because Trump has the young vote. He had a lot of young men who voted for him because they thought that he was going to take a stand and do things differently. And so they're not really liking what they're seeing in terms of Trump and Israel, the government, and Netanyahu. And so he's saying that to basically turn things around, Trump is going to have to take a stand. And he said that we saw that when Trump said, hey, you know, I'm not going to allow Netanyahu to annex the West Bank. And he was saying that, yes, this is a conversation about the West Bank, but they're also speaking about a lot of different things that Trump is not going to allow to happen, and he's basically just getting fed up. And so I do think that there is a point where people are saying, hey, you know, this war has gone on long enough, it can't keep happening, we're not going to keep getting involved in these different wars, we're not going to keep sending financial aid to you guys to support your war efforts. And so I think that a lot of people are waking up to the situation, especially with the assassination of Charlie Kirk and how pro-Israel he was, and the idea that this could have been a way to silence him for turning against Israel, for shifting his stances and all of that stuff. Some of that is conspiracy theories, some of that is like people uncovering the truth from all of the digging that they're doing, right? And so I 100% don't know one way or the other what happened here, but I do agree that there's a lot of fishy and funny business happening here that everybody wants to get to the bottom of, because I would hate to have to wait 50, 60 years to find out what officially happened, like the government admitting, hey, this is what happened. So getting back to the point, the whole point is that people want Trump to take a stand. They want America to take a stand and not get heavily involved in wars that we don't really have a interest in. And so this is where Tucker asked the question of how did a country of 9 million people essentially bully a country of 350 million people? It should be the other way around if you're talking about just numbers, right? And so he's really talking about how us listening to Israel, the government, and all of that stuff is like a parent listening to the child. That's not the way that it goes. And then he kind of softened this a little bit and said, hey, we're like a big brother to Israel, meaning they're the little brother. And so that is a more kind of balanced relationship. But the older brother doesn't usually take orders or direction from the younger brother, right? It's the big brother leading the little brother. And I was really thinking about this, and it made me think of the analogy of an elephant being scared of a mouse. And so an elephant is huge, a mouse is tiny. And so you do have big dogs who are scared of little dogs because they're so tiny. They don't know what they're doing, that sort of thing, right? And so I think that on its face, you can kind of understand why little things have so much power over big things. But at the same time, you can recognize that that's not how it's supposed to be. And instead of being an elephant, we really need to be a lion. And this made me think of the Lion King, specifically when Simba is playing and he's trying to scare something, and then eventually they run away and he thinks it's him doing it, but it's Mustafa, his father, behind him. And so Israel is obviously Simba in this example, and America is Mustafa. And so that's just one way to think about it. It really shouldn't be that we are taking orders from somebody who is dependent on us, which is what Tucker is saying. I think that a lot of people will agree with that, because you really should not allow yourself to be controlled by someone who is less powerful than you, right? Unless there's some sort of manipulation going on to where they're able to get you into that position, right? And so super interesting conversation is super relevant to everything going on that this question or this is being talked about in this way. And this leads to the whole thing with social media and influencing American politics and American society in general. And he really hit home, like, AIPAC needs to register under FARA. They're clearly working on behalf of Israel, and they basically get away with influencing people and controlling what happens in American politics. And he also talked about the social media aspect of it. Netanyahu recently met with a bunch of American influencers, and the whole purpose of this meeting was to control social media and really help get everyone back on Israel's side, the pro-Israel side. And they really talked about going after TikTok and also going after X. And so obviously this had a lot of people talking about what this means for free speech if you have social media being controlled by people who want to push a certain agenda. And this can really happen in any direction with any organization. It's really the issue of whether or not people should even be allowed to weaponize social media in this way, because social media should be about spreading truth and making sure that people are ethically informed of the different issues, the different sides of issues, so that they can make an informed decision. Now, with Netanyahu meeting with American influencers, he did make a play on woke left, and he said the woke right, if I'm saying that correctly. And basically this is a reference to Germany and the Nazis and how they were going after Jewish people. So he's basically saying the people who oppose Israel, the government of Israel, that they are like the Nazis, they are like the people who hate Jews. And so that is obviously very inflammatory, because that's not what it means to be anti-Israel or anti-genocide or anti-getting involved with wars that you have nothing to do with, right? And so the point here is that you can't label people in certain ways just because they go against your agenda. And then this is also where Tucker is talking about the idea of religion being used to bully people into supporting Israel, because what a lot of people are saying is that the Bible talks about supporting the biblical Israel, not the modern day state of Israel that was created in 1948. That's not the same Israel that we're talking about. In addition to that, there's the idea of Jewish people being special because of their DNA, because of who they are descendants of. And in terms of race, people consider Judaism to be a religion and a race. In terms of race, I do not consider any one race to be superior to another race. So I don't think white people are superior to black people. I don't think black people are superior to white people. And I also don't think that Jewish people are superior to white people or black people. And there's other races, but I'm just using those three for the purposes of my identity and this video. And so anyway, so in that sense, I can completely reject the idea that God only favors people who have a certain DNA. I think it's more accurate to say that God's chosen people are people who choose Jesus and people who choose to believe in everything that Jesus stood for. It's not the people who are focused on DNA or who are focused on doing evil things and just making the world a crazy place and creating a lot of chaos. And lastly, the other thing that Tucker talked about was the idea of dual citizenship. And he talked about how if you have served in a foreign country's military, that you should not have a dual citizenship in America. And then obviously with that, you should not be in American politics as far as having a official and elected position, because obviously you can influence whatever you have within your power to do so for your country's interests, right? And so I want to go a step further, because I understand not wanting people from other countries to serve in the American government or American army, military, whatever, if they've already held those positions in other countries. But I also find it interesting because when you think about sports in the Olympics, we do have some people who are American born, but they may have a parent who's from a different country, and so they have dual citizenship. Does that mean that we are okay with athletes who should be on the American team, the American basketball team, the American soccer team, but they go and represent a different country just because that's one parent's home country? Do we allow that sort of thing? Are we okay with that thing? And how far do we go with saying, hey, you know, it needs to be America only, America first, you can only represent American interests, that sort of thing? How far do we go in saying that you can't honor another country, right? And so I think that these are all interesting things to think about, and Tucker definitely brought up a lot of good points, even though I know that some people don't agree with everything that he said, because I know that what he said about God's chosen people, that is getting a lot of traction, because people are saying, hey, you know, that's not actually what the Bible says, or they saying, hey, you know, this is what the Bible says, that sort of thing. And so people will take away from this interview what they want to, and they will have their own opinions and perceptions of what he said. But I really thought that this was a good speech, because he's really spelling out plainly and simple and saying, hey, you know, this is the relationship between Israel and America. It shouldn't be this way, and we need to do something about it, because as we can see, things are slowly getting kind of more crazy and out of control, and we don't want to live in a society where there's a bunch of chaos, where there's a bunch of wars. That's not good for anyone. We really need to figure out a way to better control American politics, so that the politicians and the elected officials are representing people in America and making sure that they are putting American interests first. Alrighty, so that's the end of this video. Let me know what you think about Tucker Carlson's interview with Jeffree Sachs. So hopefully there's something that you took away from the first 30 minutes of that interview, because again, he made a lot of really good points. And if you disagree with anything that he said, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.